Yeah. You already know what it is, man. It's me, Tri-Town Tory, coming to you live in effect. We got a very special edition of our podcast today, man. I got my man Indi and I got my man G-Loke with me, and right now we're in the vehicle traveling back, to our home cities because we just performed at TIFE. How you feeling, man, after those 3 or 4 days that you've been out there?
Relieved. Ready to be home. It was exciting. Feel accomplished. Feel like I learned.
Oh yeah, man. And you know what? You always learn something new whenever you come to an event like this.
Yeah.
What are you taking home with you after this TIFE? Is there a piece of information? Is there an understanding? Did you pick up anything that was next level, or something to maybe tweak your game up? Or
yeah, I think I definitely feel like my set list is gonna be changing, but I definitely I like that I learned everyone's set list. You go in, you learn set lists, you change set lists, you get better at it. On top of that, I definitely want to encourage my team to come through, make the team bigger. I only see TIFE getting bigger when my team gets bigger as well, and I know that we can bring more to the table. I feel like it's just little gains. I don't need to catapult myself. I just need to learn a little bit at a time.
Little W's, you just stacking them wins.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel you. And to the people who don't know what TIFE is, it's actually stands for the illest festival ever. And what it was is a festival that was started by Illuminati and Tyler Overtime, I believe, was involved with the beginning stages of the festivals. But from what I remember, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I think Illis was really influenced and motivated after he went to the gathering of the Juggalos.
Yeah.
And it really set off this idea that he's brought to life, and he's been able to nurture the idea every year. So when the pandemic happened, of course, a lot of us were thrown off our game because we had merchandise that was ready to go and all sorts of stuff that was personified to the event. So when he said we're going to do the Redux, you know what I'm saying, we're going to do the same with TIFE5 again. We're not going to call it TIFE5 whatever. We're just going to go in. It's going to be the official one. And I think it was really fitting because it had this energy to it. There was like a victorious energy. It felt like we really triumphed over something, coming together and performing live, especially when the world, probably doesn't want live events and, shit like that going on right now. So
I like that he used the word redux.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it was. I was like, redux.
See,
it's a perfect reborn.
Yeah,
that's great.
And what I love about Illis is that he knows all sorts of shit, so he can present things in a unique way. So whenever he does something, I don't question it. I just know that he's already got the, he locked and loaded in the chamber, and he's ready to just go with it. And to anybody who's listening to this podcast and isn't familiar with Illuminati, what he is he's the CEO of Illus Alumni Records, and he's also a comic book artist, independent comic book artist and freelancer. Big companies hit him up, and he does a lot of work for them. So you'll know about him from listening to the Tory Talk podcast that we've had in the past. I think he was like episode 13 or something. But today, my main focus is my man Indi right over here, because Indi, it's been so long since we recorded that one podcast, and what made it even worse in my mind is that it was like a year before we actually released it. So we recorded the podcast and it sat for a year, and then we released it. But the benefit to that was that the album that you were talking about releasing was already out, and it was already circulated by the time that the podcast came out.
Yeah.
So it was really awesome in the sense that anybody who is an active listener and who actually does their due diligence would look into the album and then listen to the podcast, almost like a 1-2 combination.
Yeah, it's like it's nostalgic.
It would enhance the experience because you get a little bit more information behind the scenes. And I feel like that a lot of people are into that kind of stuff, because look at even back when DVDs were a thing, there'd be like special bonus information and features and shit.
Yeah.
So now that I got you live, and this is gonna go live in a reasonable time period. I mean, we're gonna drop it on 9/11 probably, because season 2 starts for Tory Talk on 9/11. So when you do hear this, we're already gonna be rocking and rolling. But yeah, Indi, when I saw you, I was like, this is my man Indi, like let's reconnect. But I caught you in the middle of a spiritual moment. And anybody who knows my man Indi knows that he's a pretty fearless individual when it comes to pushing the limits of his mind and creativity and things of that nature. What is it about coming out to these festivals that allows you to be in the right headspace to open up and outside of your body, so to speak, and just connect with spirituality and nature all at once? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I understand. I think camping is just a part of being human, and on top of that, I feel like comfortability is always a bad thing, right? Mm-hmm. So when we go out to TIFE, you know, you never know. Like this weekend, it rained right towards the end, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was also hot during the day, mm-hmm. but and then when, you know, the sweet spot at night when everybody's partying, if you know, I go through the heat during the day, the rain towards the end, and then the spirituality of facing your fear to go up on stage during the sweet spot of people coming up. Whether you do good or bad in any of those situations, you always learn something that you can take home afterwards, whether that is part of the stage, whether that is how you camp, whether that is facing heat, how you dress, what it is, it doesn't really matter. You might take something home that gives you longevity, and that's just you know what I mean. It's just I just love the networking, and on top of that, it gets easier to eyeball too, like that's a potential partner, and then when you go back out of TIFE, it's easier to reconnect with those people, you know, like, hey, let's do something, let's make something happen.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it yesterday, where we were talking about how people come together at these sort of like events, and a lot of it is for the networking, and it's to have those conversations with the people that you've been keeping an eye on, as far as, you know, in business and in music and art, and you want to, like, let's say you want to collaborate on an idea. Well, you hang out a couple times in those kind of scenarios, then you're pretty sure of whether you want to push the button on something or not. Like, for example, Johnny Watt, he's somebody who, when I come around him, I pay attention to what he's got to say. I tap in with him, and
I agree.
And there's a couple other guys that are like that, and I think that what they understand is what we understood a while back. And what that is that in order for us to climb and get to where we need to go, we need to open up. We got to drop our guard a little bit, and we got to just be people.
Yeah.
And when you're a person, you allow somebody to see the full 360 3D image of who you are. And what that allows them to do is create a pattern in their head of how things were to go if they were to entertain an idea or a thought, especially if it was a financial one. Like, for example, if me and Indi came together and like, dude, we should do an EP. He's been around me enough times to know where the liability would be, if any. But if we just met for the first time and we're talking about doing an EP without actually hanging out with each other, then those questions are a little bit grayer. There's not a lot of clarity to whether we want to push forward, because talent alone is never going to be enough for you to be confident in something getting done. You know, you could be the best rapper in the world, but is your work ethic complementing it?
Yeah, I feel like when you first start in music, the clout and the popularity is the first thing you want when you're like trying to look for features, trying to look for network. And then the bigger you get, the more you start to try to just find people who you can literally just sit and hang out with and just vibe with, because those features, those people, that's what you go, that's what you want to essentially camp with, that's who you want to hang out with, that's who you want to go to Airbnbs with, who we want to do shows with, you know. So if you are listening to this and you are at the beginning and you want to skip a lot of trouble, just invest in the people you actually have fun with, and not just people who look good, not people who just their popularity's there. Like, no, that's not, I promise you, they're not going to do nothing for you.
That's all high school shit. Once you get out of the mentality of like, oh, me being seen with this person's good for me, Once you get out of that, then you start to realize that you have to do some real work. And that's where a lot of rappers stay stuck at. They stay stuck in that, I need a picture with this person, just because they don't want to do the work. They just want it to make it look like they are.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the pictures come from. And I take pictures with everybody, but I notice the motivation for certain people.
Yes.
It's like, okay, you drop a song once every year. That's a song. That's not an album.
Yeah.
So you're really behind at that point. So if you drop a picture with me, it's going to look like me and you are working together on something.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the case for everybody, but when it is, I think it's interesting. You got to call those people out, because nobody benefits from that. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's like, yeah, if we like each other, let's take a picture. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh, this will look good for my social media likes, then it's just like, okay, well, you got to have some sort of dignity for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do it for you. You're going to come to me and take a picture, we can take a picture. And that goes into the politics of being a rap artist. And that's what kind of sucks, is that there are a lot of politics. But outside of the politics, man, you find a sweet spot where you can operate and in peace and create and still have eyeballs on you, because that matters to a certain extent. So with the popularity that you've been getting over time, have you noticed that it's a lot easier or a lot harder for you to create on that space where a lot of people are watching?
No, I think it gets easier. I think the more, when you first start, it's harder to be yourself. I think it never, I love TIFE because every time you go up, I refer to our performances this weekend as a tribal dance, right?
Okay.
Because it really feels like, since the dawn of man, if you were the performer around the fire, you never were confident. You might have always been confident, but you always do it because you're always breaking through something spiritual when you do it.
Yeah.
And just like when you perform in front of new people or whatever it is, you're breaking through something. So it never really gets, the nerves never go away. The nerves go away when we die, right?
Right.
So as long as that's there, I feel like as you keep doing this, I think you do learn that it is easier to see through the windows of people. I feel like it's easier to look into someone's eyes and go, yeah, this person messes with me. Yes, I like the vibe. Yes, I like how the tone is. And it's easier to read the more you perform. Yeah. And at first you feel kind of lost because you really don't know who messes with you. You really don't know who has love for you. And so long as you keep doing these breakthroughs, the popularity only gets bigger because you after, let's say, you go and perform for 15 people, there's going to be one guy that you're like, this guy is going to hang out with me all the time.
Yep.
And that's when you truly become friends. And then that one person comes all the time, and then that 15 turns to 30, then it turns to 50, then it turns to 100. And I think popularity only grows. It doesn't grow by marketing per se. It grows by being a person with other people. And that's really it.
It's like the connection.
Popularity is population. Put more people together that, are just like you. And when you vibe, that's good. You got to be on the same frequencies.
It's interesting because it's like the anatomy of a fan base. If you were to dissect it, you would see that there's definitely different like spectrums of how committed or how they're affected by your music or your art. And what you notice is that there's a surface level, which is the biggest chunk. It's the biggest percentage of your fans, and it's because they're the ones who come when you have something good.
Yeah.
And when they leave when it's not quite what they're looking for.
Yeah.
They're not to be confused with your core audience. Your core audience has actually been through the storms and they're still there.
Yeah.
So they know what you're capable of, and they don't really care if you don't hit the mark every single time.
Yeah.
They're going to be there to buy.
Because they know you're not perfect.
Yeah. They're going to support the shirts. They're going to support the CDs, everything, right? But the Mayweather fans, or the Fairweather fans, my bad, what they're going to do is they're going to move with the tide. And that's something that you can't really take personal, because if you have it in your head that they were never really there for you, they were just there for the moment, like a house party.
Yeah.
If you have a house party and people that you don't know show up, as long as they don't vandalize the place, it's all good fun. It's all
Yeah,
good nature. You
100%.
know, enjoy everything that this is. It's a moment. You know, I'm not gonna be like, hey, what was your name? Okay, you owe me $5 next time I see you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not. That's not what this is about. What it's about is making a connection with people and bringing them into your world for a little bit. And that's what this music stuff has always been for us. You know,
Yeah.
I can speak for the both of us in that sense. But to go back to the tribal thing real quick, I think that's really interesting because we do come together in a ritualistic sense.
Yeah, we do.
And what it does is it creates a bond to those who are also connected.
Yeah. And outsiders will call it a cult, but we just call it a family gathering. It's like, you know, that's the only way you could really unite is to actually be there and sit around the music and talk to people. And what else do you do at family gatherings? People today, if you don't have another gathering aside from the stuff we do, they're always the obligated commercial government ones, right? You go to Christmas, you go to Thanksgiving, you do right, but those are blood ties. You feel like you have to go to those. The ones that we decide to come to are the ones we spiritually feel in our mind like, no, these are the people I always want to hang out with, not because my blood makes me feel obligated to go have a turkey with everyone.
Yeah, it's different.
You know what I mean?
It's way different.
Yeah.
The originality of it is different. And what I think is really awesome about what you said too is you know, like popularity. Let's go to the popularity.
Yeah.
You helped me think about the idea that popularity has nothing to do with connection, because like we said, you could be into a band when you're younger and grow up and be like, I can't believe I used to listen to this person. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a very big possibility. Oh, my bad. I should have been on the navigation.
Oh, you're good. I knew.
And real talk though, I think that like a lot of us start off understanding that we need to make one fan a day. That means whenever you're doing some sort of music shit, try your hardest to really leave an impression on somebody. Even if it's just one person, that connection is so important. So we've been going to TIFE every year that we've possibly been allowed to.
Yeah.
And the same faces show up every year for the most part, and then there's more new ones.
Yeah.
But we actually get to be a part of their life. They get to be a part of our life for like 3 days, 2 days, or whatever. And I think that that's really cool. When we were talking about cults, okay?
Yeah.
I think there's something really interesting about cults. There's a negative connotation that comes with cults, and what it is all the bad things that you have heard happen with cults.
Yes.
So that becomes the brush that they paint everything with.
Yeah.
And it's because they're afraid of something gaining power without being in the light.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid of how that could affect society, culture, everything. That's why the FBI likes to get involved when they see something getting too powerful, without them understanding the origin of it. And the thing about us that makes it not so much a cult, even though everything's a cult in America, I mean, just in the modern world, culture is created, you know. So
from cults,
it's in the word. It's in the word. We cultivate things, and school's a culture. School's a culture.
It's a cult.
Nike is a culture.
Yeah.
You know, anything with a symbol that people can idolize is a culture. But the indie culture, what can you say about this fandom that you've created specifically around in the universe of indie? Like, can you speak to the construction of the universe and the little hidden gems and eggs and stuff that you put out there for your people?
I think there's two things to it. I think our job, my job, just spiritually and mentally, is to help, right?
Yeah.
I can't always help in every way, but I know that I could always, if I know, you know, there's, you know how you say I'm a problem solver. There is problem solvers, and there's people who just have problems.
Yeah.
And you know, that's all it is. I feel like there's only two kinds of people. You sit at a campfire, and someone's either going to talk about growth or what you can fix, and someone else is going to loathe and dwell in their problems.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's kind of why we both exist as problem solvers. You know, at one point I was dwelling, and a problem solver just enough problem solvers helped me, and to the point where I became a problem solver. And what we do with the music is the image is just a veil. It's a mask to get you to reel people in to help them. But I believe that the more you're ready to help more people, the better your image will become. So when I say 500, the Indi 500 music, right? When I was ready to do that, I felt like, you know what, I don't mind giving away. I don't mind just giving things. I don't mind giving CDs. Oh, you were here enough. Here's a shirt. Oh, what's your problem? Let me listen. You just keep going. I don't mind, you know, listening to music that maybe other people don't like, and it's just like, you know, and I don't have to like it. I just know that if I'm hearing the truth in something, then I always have something to latch on. You know, where's your truth? Right. And so the help in the actual gathering when you're at the shows, the realest people, the people with problems will come up, and you just try to solve their problems. And the CDs, the images, the videos, those are just masks to bring strangers to the shows. Okay. And they seem to they're either problem solvers or you know, people with problems, but you know, that's just part of life. Yeah. You know, so I feel like that's kind of that's probably the foundation to it, you know? Yeah.
So your music serves as a toolkit for someone who is in one group trying to get to the other. Yeah. Yeah. Because you, like you said, were in the same shoes. Yes. And you remember the whole steps, the whole progress. You created a manuscript on how to get out of that through your music. Yeah. And I think that the people who really listen to your music, they know that. And they create their own toolkits off of the shit that you put in front of them. Mm-hmm. I know that's been the case for Tory North in my music, but it's also awesome when I can see it in my friends. I know that Illis is probably the best at that. And what I mean by that is that he understands fully what it takes to uniform somebody with an ideology. Yeah. To the point of where he can completely transform people with his ideologies. Like, before I met Illis, you know, I was confident, but I wasn't 100% sure that everything would work. Yeah,
100%. I felt the same way.
And then after I met this guy, I knew that every time that I was ready, and I actually took the preparation and the time to aim, that I was going to hit the target every time. Yes. And that's what I learned from Illis, because when he does the comic books or the albums, and you watch the whole process because he lets you close enough to see it, but you realize that he's really building these brick houses brick by brick, but he's just a good time manager. He manages his time very well, and he manages his resources very well. So he's a successful artist and business person because he never makes it appear to be in any kind of turmoil, so to speak. It seems like the process is effortless. Yeah. And when the process is effortless, then you're already winning. Yeah. You know, you don't even have to have an output that is critically acclaimed. Yeah. As long as you're dropping something and you're paying your bills, and you're always in the green, then you're winning. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about this music thing. You don't have to have all these like weird milestones that they publicize in the media.
Everybody has different ones.
You have to create your own system. I told myself that if I could make $35K outside of working a job through music, then I was successful. I was doing something that I was going to be able to maintain. And you know, we're getting there. We're not quite there yet, but a lot of that has to do with touring. It hasn't really became, you know, a full swing thing. Yeah. And a couple other things, because a lot of people make their money from touring. You know, that's where you make a majority of your shit. Oh yeah. So I think that I get lost from my point of where I was going.
It's okay. It's okay.
But what I was basically trying to say when we're talking about cults and we're talking about, you know, the guru or the person who's running the cult, so to speak, they really have to believe in themselves. The cult leader or the person who's in charge has to believe in themselves. Yes. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then the dogma, then the shit that you're putting out there isn't going to hold water. It isn't going to be believable to the people who have to consume it.
That's true.
So that's why you have to believe so much to the point of where you're brainwashed by your own.
Yes, and I think part of that, as a result, is the truth. I love that word, the truth, because I feel like I can just eyeball it. Sometimes I just ask simple questions, and I know that you have a liar inside you. And a lot of people say, I know a lot of people think that, oh, everybody lies. I mean, like, everybody has lied, but there is a point where you could just not lie and just keep telling the truth, and that's when it starts hurting people. And I think people become fearful of how other people take the truth, and then they become liars because they do not want to go any further in telling the truth. And so long as you live fearlessly with the truth, you will always have a bigger following, more people. They listen to every word you say, because in your music, it comes right back to you. If you lied on an album, on one bar you thought was just a needless bar, but you're like, I'm going to say this. 5 years down the road, someone might have listened and come to your show, and they come up to your face and they're drugged up, and they say, hey, you said this on your thing. You said, why'd you say this? So if you say it, make sure you mean it. And obviously a lot of that of what you say, don't say it out of turmoil, because it'll rebound right back.
I mean, even on a different scenario, you could stand for something in your music and then sell out, and then one of your diehard fans could be mentally off his rocker and come see you at a show and then do you like John Lennon or something. Where they're like, hey, you used to stand for something and now you don't, so you don't deserve to live. And that happens a lot more frequently than you would imagine, because that's more believable. When someone's in fantasy land, then any kind of thing could happen. And that's what's dangerous about being a cult leader, or being somebody who creates an ideology that people can follow for better or for worse. You're dealing with individuals who are not solid mentally. There's a lot of like the mental fortitude that you would need in order for you to not be a part of a cult. You would need to develop that prior to even being indoctrinated into anything. So why I say that is this: you get some people who listen to your music because it really helps them, and they might not be in the best shape that you are mentally. And if you were to ever present yourself in a way that isn't true to what they signed up for, it could do so much damage to them that it could have real life repercussions for you. And that's what people don't understand. It's like we make ourselves so accessible to the people who could hurt us if things were to go bad.
100%. I do feel like that has happened. I have had that happen to me. Like it does, and this is where people locals at the bottom who don't understand. I hear people say like, MGK for example says Eminem paid millions for security here, and the reality is like when the more shows I do, the more I realize, people get drugged up, alcohol, whatever, do stuff they shouldn't, and then suddenly I need one more security for that spot. And then suddenly I need more security because I'm not gonna go out and fight 1 million people. I'm not Floyd, I can't take everybody on. And the reality is I shouldn't, especially if my passion is to do the music and help people, but I can't do that if people start to become insecure, jealous, want the spotlight, and at that point security starts getting needed. And I look at Eminem and I go, he probably does need millions of dollars in security, because maybe he is trying to help people, but obviously Eminem talks so much shit that the words don't physically hurt anyone. Maybe he is giving money away, maybe he is putting bread and butter on somebody's table, but in order to do it, he needs the mask of Eminem to bring in that money, or else it's not going to happen.
He needs the mask of Eminem to make sure everything happens.
Because if he's not, when his sales went down for him being himself, like he said, the sales go down, and now he suddenly can't help as many people. He can't put more people on. He can't buy features. He can't tour as much, whatever it is. And it doesn't even matter what it is. Help other businesses. So he has to go on a track, and he has to just talk his shit as much as he can. And at some point, we basically get to that point, like, well, we just speak our truths. He can't really talking shit. When I say talking shit, I mean, like, you know, being as truthfully honest without
worrying about repercussions.
Yeah. Without trying to be malicious, but it's a hard truth, you know, and that hard truth is the tough part for people to handle, you know.
Yeah, no, seriously. You mentioned something interesting too, like when you create this avatar that's supposed to run your life, right? You really can't run your life without the avatar.
Yeah, and that avatar, that's why I love the truth thing. If your avatar is you could never go wrong. But if you start building this avatar and start chipping in lies for convenience, for faster money, for faster this, it'll fall a lot harder. It'll fall a lot more. You'll have to depend on someone else's avatar at that point.
Yeah,
you know.
And also, there's benefits to creating yourself as your avatar, but there's also disadvantages.
Yeah,
like the fact that you can't safeguard yourself from the mental strain that comes from being an avatar in the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, things that happen to your avatar is your voodoo doll. Boom, there we go. Your avatar is your voodoo doll. So what that means is it takes the hits for you, but you still bear the consequences.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example. If I'm on the internet all day as Tory North, right?
Yeah.
And I'm getting into arguments with people, and I'm mentally exhausting myself online. I'm being an internet person, right?
Yeah.
That's going to suffer a mental strain that can sometimes lead to mental consequences because the internet can be such an unhealthy thing for some people at times.
Yeah.
Right? So your voodoo doll is your avatar. It takes all the little pokes, but you have to feel the pain about it.
Yeah.
And people don't think that this happens, but there's a reason why people are more depressed when they're online all day.
I believe that.
What happens is you're getting dopamine from a casino-like environment.
Yeah.
You know, because you refresh the page and then you get hit with dopamine.
It's like slot machines.
That's what it is. So you're rewiring your brain to be instant gratified.
Accent ahead on I-90W in a quarter of a mile.
100%.
You're still on the fastest route.
And on top of that, that's why I love events like TIFE. Like, I did not pull out my phone once. I still haven't even had my phone out. Like, I completely cut the data, and it's like,
dog,
get
I
there
feel you.
and you're gone. Like, no, you either made it in the moment. I'm not going to be bothered by anything outside that I can't control. And that's what something these events really represent, is you either physically made it there or not. There's no exception. You know, you can't be an internet warrior. There's no misinterpretation of the words online, you know? Nothing.
Yeah. It's like, what are you there for?
Yeah.
In the long run, are you there for the look, or are you there for the fill? Because if you just want it to look like you're lit because you go to, you know, festivals and shit, that's an empty feeling. That's like potato chips. You feel me? But if you wanna go and experience things and have memories to talk about, that's more of a steak and potatoes feel. You know what I'm saying? That's a more fulfilling idea to have. And that's what I think that a lot of us need to do. We need to unplug from the matrix sometimes. And like, I've been in relationships where the internet was ruining my fucking relationship, so I had to get off the social media, off of everything, for a couple months at a time. And what it did was it made things okay for a while, but through and through, you know, sometimes things just don't work out. And if something has a bad beginning or a bad middle, it's really hard for it to have a good ending. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to relationships and other people and the internet's involved. And being that I run this multimedia agency that I'm doing, you know, with everything that I do, it's really hard to avoid the internet. It's really hard to not check notifications, or not read emails, or not send money over, or receive money because you need to do something. It's really hard to not do that shit, because also that's a job. You know, if I give up the internet, I'm giving up a lot of my future, a lot of my hope. And that's something that people aren't ready to have. That's a conversation they're not ready to have. Is like, what does the internet really represent to you? Because if it's just something stupid that doesn't have a lot of weight to it, yeah, you can play Candy Crush all fucking day. Sit on your ass, gain weight, hate your life, get depressed, get all sorts of diseases and disorders because you stop living life, stop moving around and circulating your blood, through your body. And I hate to be so rough and brash, but I'm trying to paint a picture here. Is when you neglect reality for this digital candy, you start to wither away in reality if you don't keep it going. You got to keep it up. That's why I work full time, just in this, because I know you don't work, and I think that's great too. But I work full time because I don't go to the gym. I don't work out. So if I have any kind of physical activity, it's me actually doing a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned these things because for one, I think of like, okay, every time that I go to TIFE, I realize I'm able to party longer and longer and longer. And some people think I'm on something crazy, like, they think I'm on meth or something going on for 3 days, right? But the truth is when I first started going, I could only be up for half the day. Then it happened the whole day, right? Then I'm able to do all night and sleep very early in the morning and go all day again. And then eventually you get to 3 days where you're able to go. But what I realized is coming back to it is every time I came back, I bettered myself once a year. So my energy was better. I lost some weight. I was able to every day, I was able to camp better. I was able to feed myself better. I was able to be more resourceful. Like this year, I ate diced mangoes, had waters, and walked around the entire time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm able to see everybody's sets more and more and more and more. And part of that is bettering yourself. That's why I love these festivals, is because it really is a test of your physical being too. It's like how supportive can you be in 3 days? Because a lot of people who are overweight don't do their thing. They don't support people. They're angry. They do come to these and they try, but they'll sit at the campfire. They'll sit around the, too long, and they don't really go anywhere else. And you'll see the differences of the love too. These people are able to. Those people don't stay long. They also don't have much support. And the ones who are physically better, they also support more people. I don't know if you see the trend.
No, I've seen it. Definitely,
it's definitely in there.
Dude, look at similar accidents on the opposite side of the highway, about 100 miles or 100 feet from each other.
That's great.
That's really nuts. It's like the fucking Black Mirror or some shit. No, but real talk, man. You're speaking of something real good. A lot of people want to go camping, but they don't have a reason to go camping. Right? And a lot of people will support musicians, local musicians, people they know, their friends' bands, whatever, on a surface level. Because it's like, I don't hate the motherfucker. So maybe it won't be bad to hear them from 100 feet away at my camping spot, but I'm not moving my big heavy ass. Shout out to everybody who's this person in particular we're calling a couch potato, and they don't want to get up and go support, but it's not because they have any negative feelings towards it.
It's because they physically don't move.
They just physically don't feel like getting up and doing it. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they work all the fucking time or whatever.
Maybe they didn't eat right at the campsite. They just eat too much meat or whatever.
Yeah, there you go. See, there's a lot of things that can go into it. So I try not to look at it too narrowly, but at the same time, you got to call some people out, because it's like when you're performing and you got let's say you got 20 people up front, and you know that you could have 50. It pisses me off because it's like, you guys are here for one reason, right? You guys want to experience some live vibes. We're about to turn up. We're about to make you feel a certain way. But if you're not, it's like you don't know what you're missing. It's like when you got a toddler and they don't want to eat your fucking steak and shit because they've never had it. But they don't know that it's fucking bomb. It's the shit they're gonna love forever as long as they try it. Well, that's what our music's like. It's like, hey, if you were actually to sit, listen to the lyrics, talk with us, know where we come from, know why we do what we do. There's not a lot of people who do what we do anymore.
No.
If you were to really get fully engulfed in a person's why, then you will appreciate them and you'll be standing right there supporting them the same way that they support their favorite artist. And this, that, and
they might even give you more. You might gain so much from it.
And that's what it is too. Do you remember when artists started doing their paid about to pay campaigns, where you would put an album out and people could pay whatever they wanted for it.
Yeah.
Coldplay did this, a couple other artists did this, but Nipsey really took the idea and ran with it. When he made the albums, they were essentially like NFT albums.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why I bring this up is because it shows the connection that a fan has. It can be measured in this metric. And what I mean by that is like, if somebody, I got a fan out there that would probably spend $1,000 with me in one set, if they had it, right? And it's just about the connection.
Yeah.
That person would go in a certain group, and you would start to tier these groups out. You have a fan that would be there for you for $5, $20. You can keep going, and then you can start to look at it. And what it shows you is that you can actually create like a spectrum of how much people mess with you or support you.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting because when we go back to the campground talk and the people who are sitting at the campfire and they're not going to get up to go hear your set, where are they on this spectrum? They support you to a certain extent, right?
Yeah. And a lot of it is because they can't support themselves, you know.
True.
Like they might have the love, and it's like, look, they really are not healthy. They are not this. So they might have the most love for you, and they're like, no, I'm tired. That's all it is.
Yeah. And also too, like, I've met people who don't have time to go to a show, but they got time to spend money with you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they'll be like, hold on, what do you got? You got shirts, D? I'll get that because I'm not going to be able to go to a show.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Uh-huh.
That's always fine. Yeah.
It's just that people, it's the things that don't go talked about. Like, people don't talk about how important support is.
Yeah.
You know, financially.
It comes in different ways, you know, and everybody feels like, I know that there's a lot of people anyway that feel like it should only come one way, right? You buy my album, buy my shirt. If you don't do all of them, you know, if you don't buy my shirt, you don't come to my shows, you don't do all of them, then you're not a real supporter. And it's not true. Like, there's musicians I love that are amazing, and I listen to them all day, and I've never once clicked the like button on their platform. But I gave them a bunch of views, maybe, and that's just out of unconscious love of like, hey, I'm just gonna spin this because I like it, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe I just mess with them so much I put them on the playlist. Yep. And it doesn't, and a lot of people might not even recognize it.
Right.
And then they get angry about it. They're like, what do you do? And I'm like, well, you know, I do what I can. You know, there's so many people on my plate. I can only do so much for everyone, you know?
Yeah. That's interesting because it goes from like the connection with the fans to also the connection with other artists.
Yeah.
Because you can only do so much for the people close to you.
Yeah. I feel like some people even might misinterpret a fan as a partner or a partner as a fan. Because I feel like the more money someone does put on you, the more you might not look at them as a fan anymore. You go, that guy, that's my partner.
It's a plug.
That's my partner. I don't expect him to give me more money, but maybe they give me so much that, you know, when I do come up with something new and a seed, that person's seed is going in there, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I love the playlisting, you know, like how I do the radio. So when I started doing that, right away I knew 15 artists that I was like once I got it down, I was like, I know 15 artists that I mess with, that I'm keeping them on this forever, and these are my guys, you know, like it's not about the money, it's about the connection. So you made that connection, I'm planting that seed for you, and it'll only grow.
Yep.
You know?
And that's what I like about I like and respect a lot about you, is that you have a good memory about people who have served you right and people who have served you wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't necessarily bend the rules for anybody.
No.
And that's what I love, because it's like it really forces people to be genuine with you. And it shouldn't be a force. But some people need, like, for example, the people who go to work just to make sure that they don't sleep their life away.
Yeah.
They need somebody to answer to. So they have to get their ass up, they have to shower, and then they're at work. make a paycheck and then they feel a little bit better about themselves, right?
Yeah.
But they need somebody, because if there is nobody, their life goes to waste, right? Sometimes people have girlfriends that do this for them, boyfriends that do this for them, but they need somebody to push them. And that's what I noticed too, is when it comes to, like, let's go back to you for a quick second. If you put like a standard on how people communicate with you, they have to reach the standard every time. And if they don't, then you just know who they are and where to put them.
Yeah.
So like when you have a buddy who you could put on a playlist and you'd be like, me and him have done a lot of things together, he's good in my book.
Yeah.
Because it's only going to continue to be that way forever.
Yes.
You know, I totally understand how somebody can end up in those good graces. But it takes work. It takes time. It takes effort.
Yeah.
Because if we were to put a dollar sign on the things that we've done artistically, we can't do it. We've done too much. You know? Like it's unmonetizable.
Yeah.
And that's why they say some things are truly priceless. Because you can't put a price on real shit.
Uh-huh.
And but the things that you can put a price on, it's important to price that out the right way. And that's what our services become. That's what our, you know, like for example, I'm a ghostwriter. Okay? I used to charge a lot of money for ghostwriting.
Yeah.
Because I figure, hey, you're taking my brain and you're wearing it like it's yours.
Yeah.
So what I need X amount of dollars, because I'm cutting this baby short. I'm cutting the umbilical cord and letting the baby go with you. Right?
Yeah.
Because every song's a kid. Every song's a baby. Right? So you take that joint. But you better raise it right, which is promotion.
Yeah.
You promote it, then it grows to be something that you can be proud of. You don't promote it, then it goes back into the fucking library.
Yeah.
You spend a lot of money for a memory that maybe you will want things valuable one day. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
I have verses from artists who were supposed to be big rappers one day and then never quite made it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean shit to me. It doesn't mean like, oh, I lost money. It's a memory. It's an expensive memory. And that's all it is. So I guess it's just your attitude about things in the long run.
Yeah. Compensation is definitely necessary. You know, but compensation doesn't need to always come in money, you know?
Yeah.
That's the nice thing, is it can come in a partnership. Like when I was doing playlists at first, I was charging. I mean, I'll still charge if I don't know you. Like if I don't know you like that, we're not connected, but you want to be on the playlist, I'll give you a price. But if we've been doing business and connect, then you're gonna be on the playlist no matter what.
Yeah.
It's raining out here.
Yeah. For real, bro. Well, you know what? I think we should wrap this podcast up because we got some pretty good stuff out of it. And I don't want the rain to throw us off or anything. But yeah, this has been Tri-Town Tory. Shouting out my man Indi right here. Stay tuned, stay connected. We're going to have a lot of things coming. Warm up.